Humbly Pete, this is my model life. The Proboat Jetstream 1/6 scale crawler for the water, or bashing boat, whatever you want to call it. First thing you got to do with it is take your buddy out and let him figure out how to drive a jet boat.
Because you forget you need gas to turn, it goes against your natural instincts. It's just throttle. People smile as they hit the pier.
So once you get that part figured, then, obviously we wanted to take that. We've watched all the YouTubers do all their crazy stuff with their boats, so we wanted to do the same. So we wanted to take it up a river. We got the kayaks out, and we decided to find a couple spots for it. It was shallow, and it kind of sucked, honestly. This boat is fat and wide. I got a word for that I won't use here, but it is stable, y'all. It doesn't have any self-righting features like some of the other Pro boats do, but it honestly doesn't need it. All right, strike that. Never mind. Every boat needs self-righting technology. It'll get you out of a jam. But if you drive this boat conservatively, you probably won't need it. The one thing that has to be mentioned is the jet drive in this vessel. It has a 4068 1600 kV brushless motor in it, paired up with 100 amp ESC. I'll tell you what, they stuffed a little blue ox in there somewhere, because it is up on plane within the first quarter throttle, and you got 3/4 of the throttle left over that is basically overpowering the boat. It doesn't need that amount of power, but it has it on 4S. The jet drive ain't perfect. Like all jet boats, it is going to lose its prime if you go over some heavy water at high throttle or jump over some rocks or stuff. You're going to lose your prime. That's what jet boats do. But the recovery of the loss of prime in this jet drive is remarkable. It just picks right back up, and you get the torque you need to go through rapids. It's impressive. So I'm going to claim to be a little bit of an old schooler here. I've been playing with these jet boats ever since the NQD Terran 2 that we all got, and that we put 3 times as much money as we paid for the boat to get it to perform, and then you're blowing components because it was never supposed to be that high powered in the first place. Most RC jet boats are a disappointment. There, I said it. I'm not sure how I feel about the shreddy life character here in the boat. I've seen Blake Wilkie before, and this guy's putting off some serious Spicoli vibes.
Who's got the Buku Dolores today?
And in regards to speed, it's not that fast of a boat. If you are used to the open water, prop-driven RC boats that are out there, this is not really comparable. But with that, I would say that this is the fastest jet boat that I've ever driven. And as it goes with any radio control adventure, you need to be a good RC buddy, and you need to pass the transmitter along to your pal. And that RC buddy for me, well, that's old TC. And TC, he's a pretty good RC guy, but every once in a while he forgets that the throttle is not an on-off switch, and he sent it up and down these rapids quite a few times. And you'll see here that this is really what I'm talking about in regards to stability, because he absolutely bashes these rocks, sends the boat absolutely sideways, and normally that would roll a boat, but it just digs in, sends just a ton of water off, and it stayed stable, and it stayed in the water upright, which was pretty sweet. And of course, as you can see, this was the inadvertent beginning of our durability testing of the Proboat Jetstream. And yeah, TC gave that hole a real what for. He was putting it through the shallow stuff. He was really bouncing it off the rocks. And this boat has a plastic outer protective liner on it, just like the full-size boat. You see, he hit it hard enough. He pushed the light bar just straight down, so it's pointing at the ground. It looks pretty silly, but we wouldn't let that stop us. As I mentioned before, the boat does take a little bit of getting used to as far as the throttle and the steering. You don't need to run the boat full throttle all the time, especially through the more technical stuff. And the steering is pretty sensitive, meaning that for the first pack or so, you're probably just going to be bouncing around doing power turns and donuts and stuff like that while you get used to how the boat turns and everything. So, I began to get a little worried for the boat in the hands of my good old buddy TC, because like I said, he was really sending it. And, the only thing you can do is be a good buddy, keep the cameras rolling, and wait for the inevitable, which is the big send. So after your buddy sends your brand new jet boat off a log and puts it up in the air higher than a buzzard fart, sometimes it's time to regroup, maybe paddle down the river and find a more chill location. And that's just what we did, me and TC. We paddled down the river a little ways, checked the boat out, changed the batteries, and found a wide spot, a little more technical, with some shallow water. And it was really interesting to put the boat to work and really see what it did in the shallow stuff. And you know, this boat really was at home in the shallow stuff. You know, at first you're worried about bashing the hull, you're worried about getting rocks in the pump drive, you're worried about all these things, but hanging out on this shallow spot, it was almost like we were on a crawler course on the water. The way that it performed in this, you know, we were operated at anywhere from 6 inches to 0 inches of water with this thing, and it was just cruising back and forth. You start getting technical with it. You start seeing new lines in the water. You say, hey, let's take it up this way. Let's see if it'll run through this really shallow part. Let's see if we can get it in between these rocks. Let's see if we can bounce across this little bank, or, you know, everything that you can start to think of once you start to get comfortable. You start enjoying the model, really getting immersed in the surroundings, and really having an RC moment, really, you know, spending time with your buddy out in nature and just ripping a cool boat around and really forgetting about everything else is really what it's all about. And, you know, I guess my point is that it's really cool to come across a model that can do that, you know. You can go pack for pack all the way down a river and just have fun with the model, not damage it to the point where it's no longer usable. And, you know, I'll be honest, we did break a few things, but nothing that kept the boat from running until, of course, we dropped the transmitter in the water, and then that kind of finished the fun for the day. But until that time, you know, we were able to cruise around, have a great time, and really enjoy the little boat for what it was. And it's something I'd really recommend to you guys if you're looking for something that can really take on this type of water and not the open water stuff. It does great in that kind of water, but the rivers, the rapids, the rocks, the shallows is really where this boat is at home. That's where I suggest you take it. So, like I said, my name's Bleep Pete. Y'all might not have heard of me before, but I can get the inside scoop on some stuff like this from time to time. So if you like it, you gotta like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. You know how it goes, and we'll get some more out for you soon. Thanks for watching.